All right. Well, I just started the recording during that song, so I'm sure some people will be wondering what's going on. So we were just celebrating two promotions. So I'm Julie Marshall. I am with the Juice Plus Company, and I am a senior sales coordinator. And we are hosting a weekly call for people that have moved on in their business, and we're celebrating two graduations this week with Sherry Barker, who is a fast track VF, and Barb Pearson, who has qualified her business. So we are going to move on to the training portion of this call. And so Sherry and Barb, like I said, you're welcome to stay with us, or if you want to drop off, that's fine. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to share with the ladies, or congratulations or anything before they go?
Just congratulations, Sherry and Barb. Way to go.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Awesome. All right, ladies, thank you so much. All right, so tonight we are talking about disciplining disappointments. And what I would love to see is a lot of participation in this training, because let's face it, we've all had disappointments, right? And I want to know, and I've got some notes here, so I apologize for looking over back and forth, but who has had a disappointment in their Juice Plus business, as a raise of hands? All right. Well, that's good to see. I know the ladies and gentlemen maybe on the phone probably are raising their hands silently, but if you haven't had disappointments in this business, you're not doing it right. So what are some of the disappointments that we can run into? So, who's had a customer that chooses not to renew? Who has someone tell them no more than once? Who's had who's had a rep join and then fall off the radar? Who's had a rep join and say they are all in and they are going to go full steam forward and they want to be an NMD, and then they disappear? Okay, right? So people are human, right? So what happens? What happens to us when we hear those things? Do we shut down? Do we get a new belief in ourselves and steam forward? Do we blame ourselves? Do we feel like it's something we should have done differently? When you talk to more people, do you feel like the no's that you got in the past are not as harmful as they used to be? So these are all little things that I think we all run into. And it's important for us to maintain some sort of positive mental outlook, of course. And there are many things that you can do for that. But what I'm going to share this evening, and I, love input from any of the other leaders or anyone who has, found different ways to deal with disappointments. I'll share something with you, from my own personal background, is that I never wanted to be a salesperson. And so when I got involved in this Juice Plus business, it was simply because the product had done so much for my family, and I found myself sharing it with people anyway. And when I had a few people that were interested, I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll dabble in it a little bit. And then when I went to a leadership conference, the picture got bigger and broader. And I also realized that, throughout my whole corporate career, I hadn't had a plan B. And so I needed to probably have something in my back pocket. So I started to build a business, and I built that in the beginning with many of my family members. And that was great because we could do it together, and it was fun, and we knew each other, and we had things in common. Well, then my family members started to stop working, and that was like really disappointing. So what did I do? Instead of saying, okay, well, that's fine, let me move on, I tried to pull them along. And the way that I did that was by trying to work their business for them. And not the good thing, not the good thing to do. I realized, and I learned later on from a very wise woman named Kim Dalzell that you cannot pull people along if they're not even holding on to the rope. And so I, over a long period of time, developed a understanding of that, and then decided that my disappointments needed to be put into other energy. And so I started to, when I started to get disappointments, I started to develop into other things. And so, I'm sorry, hang on one second here. Okay. So basically, what I want to share tonight is many of you have probably heard of Jim Rohn or listened to Jim Rohn, who is an amazing leader, mentor in the network marketing industry. And unfortunately, he's passed away, but he is a huge proponent of disciplining your disappointments. And he talks about the law of averages and how that you need to talk to, you could talk to 10 people, you might get one person interested in your product or your business. And then the more people you talk to, the more people you'll get interested. And he talks a little bit about, ratios that start tend to continue. And he has this, and if you haven't listened to him, he's got so many free YouTube videos. You can just go on YouTube and search him. But one of my favorite is the law of averages one that he does. And he talks about how someone that is skilled might be able to get 3 people out of 10 to, take the product or, do the business. But for someone who's not skilled, you make up in numbers what you lack in skill. And so he has this great story about how the experienced person, can talk to fewer people and get a certain number, but he can talk to a lot more people and beat that person by getting more just because he's talking to more people. And so it's all about, really being able to realize that we're going to have people tell us no, and we just have to continue to progress on and fight through those challenges. And it's not a personal no, it's just because that person either isn't ready, they don't understand, they don't know what they don't know, or they're just not in a place where they can accept what we have to offer them. And so, many times when I was feeling down and someone told me no, I would either beat myself up, or I would tell myself this wasn't for me, or I would say, this is just not the thing that I am meant to do. And those self-talk, all that self-talk is just so powerful, whether it's good or bad, right? So we can walk away from a situation and just say, it's just not their time. And that helps us get ready for the next person, that it might be their time. But if we walk away from that situation and we say, oh my God, I said the wrong thing, or that was so stupid, or I shouldn't have talked to them, then all we're doing is we're basically getting, putting out negative energy, which is going to attract negative energy. If we put out positive energy, we're going to attract positive energy. So one of the things I've really tried to do is that I try to turn things around now. When someone tells me no, or I get a customer who doesn't want to renew, I go back and I look at who that week did tell me yes, and which customers did I just have that got new shipments that went out that I'm still helping because they are still taking Juice Plus. And so a lot of it's about your expectations too. I mean, we never want to expect a customer not to renew, but just using the words that they chose not to renew versus they canceled has helped me a lot with just managing those disappointments, because none of us ever want a customer not to renew because we know we're helping them, but people don't renew for many different reasons. And so we can always, try to go back and help them again, but we also have to realize there are other people out there that do need our help, and maybe we just need to, move forward. So let's see. Let me go on to something else that I love this. One quote that I'm not sure where it came from, but I was reading, trying to read if I saw where it came from, but it's for once I complained because I had no shoes until I met the man that had no feet. And it's all about perspective, right? And so it's also about glass half empty versus glass half full. And there's another quote that I love is that my glass is half full and the other half was delicious. Right. So it's just putting things in perspective. And, certainly with the things that have happened over this last week, we can all, appreciate perspective and just really trying to realize all the blessings that we have. So I'd like to read a couple little passages here. As a wise man, Jim Rohn, once said, for things to change, I have to change. For things to get better, I must get better. And so one of the things that I like to do now is when I do feel disappointed because a customer chose not to renew or because someone said no to me, I try to reflect back on what could I have done differently with that person. Did I do everything that I possibly could to keep that person as a customer? And if I didn't, what can I do differently to serve someone else better? And the same thing with a prospect. I don't dwell on it, but I try to reflect. And if you can get feedback from people, that is the most valuable thing. But, many times people aren't going to give you feedback. But if they do, or even if they don't, can you just spend a minute reflecting on what could I possibly do different? And if they don't give you feedback, you don't necessarily always know. But it's always good to just kind of, just do a quick self-check-in, and I mean quick, no more than a minute, just to see if there's anything you could have done differently, because there might be something you could change. Here's one thing I love is that you simply cannot take disappointment personally. When a prospect doesn't respond the way you want them to, or a customer chooses not to renew, it's not a reflection of you as a person or your abilities. Now, if you are making radical errors, that's a different story. But in the normal course of events, your prospect's response has very little to do with you. It does not matter your position or how many skills you have. There will still be those times when nothing seems to work right. That's just the way it is. You don't need to be perfect. No one is. And this one I love too is about you will notice that successful people seem to miraculously have everything go their way. Well, that's because they all have one thing in common, a positive mental attitude. With their thoughts focused on the glass being half full and expecting things to work out in their favor. These people don't focus all their attention on their weaknesses. They focus on their strengths. They don't spend their lives complaining about how bad things are. They go make them better for themselves, their families, and their teams. So what type of person do you want to be? The type of person that dwells on the disappointments, or the type of person that chooses to do good and do better and learn from them? So with that, I do have one other celebration that I would like to do with Miss Sarah Bush, who, this isn't really part of our as if calls because Sarah's already a sales coordinator, but she POB qualified today. And so I'm super excited for her and want to just acknowledge her and share a little bit of a graduation celebration. So we'll do that real quick. Sarah, are you still there? Oh, yep, she raised her hand. What'd you do, Sarah? She's raising her hand. Oh, she's just telling us she's there. Okay. All right. So we're going to do a quick celebration again, and then I'm going to open it up for any other questions or comments. Thank you so much. Hi, Alyssa. All right. Congratulations, Sarah. So, does anyone have any comments or questions or anything that they'd like to share or add?
I just had a quick comment, Julie.
Okay, great. Thanks, Barb.
Since I heard this twice, the training and all the comments that you made, I think are so great, not only for this business or any business, but just in general for life, to remember to have a positive attitude. It'll help you in your business and just in your everyday life and your relationships and all that. I could just see how you can just shift it over to just your everyday living, that kind of an attitude. Don't get down on yourself, look at the glass half full instead of half empty. And it's just a really great lesson to remember, because I think a lot of times we forget it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I agree with you. It never hurts to be reminded to be grateful for all we have.
Yep.
So thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? All right. Well, we will close out the call. I want to thank everyone again for joining. Congratulations again, Sherry, Barb, and Sarah. And thank you for the leaders who joined and supported me in this training. And we are going to, and I didn't announce this on the last call, but we are going to continue to do these calls every week. And we're kind of trying to figure out what the best time of the week is going to be for most people. But please stay tuned and you'll see a flyer come out soon. All right. Have a great evening.
Great reminders. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.